Hey guys, this is the Betamax man. Before I go into the video of getting this thing up and going, there were multiple things that were done to try to see if this was the issue. We've changed the clutch assembly. We changed the reel table motor assembly. There was a couple other things we changed. We changed the cam gear. There's a few more things that I've done to it, but I did not mention in the video anything about, I don't think I mentioned the fact that I changed the reel table motor assembly, because as you'll see in the beginning of the video, you'll see those blue tick-up and sply reels, and then later on you'll see them white. Well, the reason why you're seeing this is because it's been changed to see if this what the problem was, as I really did not know exactly what the issue was. Basically, I was doing different things to it to try to get it to work, and it all came down to a cracked gear on that cam gear. That cam gear is what helps thread the tape around the drum, and of course changing the reel table assembly, and I think I've covered everything, but you'll see the clutch assembly. You'll notice that the worm gear on the original one had a black worm gear, and once I changed it, because I took those parts off of a SL-330, because the SL-330 has the same 711B3 chassis, so almost all the parts except for a few that are interchangeable. So this machine is something that I took me all day to get it up and going, but I hope you will enjoy the video. So let's now go to the video and see what I had to do to this thing. And I'm going to edit, some of it's going to be edited down so that it's not such a long video. But let's dive into the repairs on the Sony SL-HF360. Hey guys, this is the Betamax man. This is a Sony SL-HF360 with the 711B3 chassis. Now, this machine, I have bought it off eBay. The guy said that there was a tape stuck in it. Said it would not play, fast forward, or rewind. So the tape was stuck, and I got the tape out, and I've already figured out what's wrong with it. Before I tell you what is wrong with it, I'm going to plug it in, I'm going to show you what it's doing, and I'm just going to let you guys guess as to what's wrong with it. Go to the comments below and tell me what you think it is, because I already know. Now we're going to plug this in, so let me plug this in here. Let's get the freaking cord here. Let's see here. Alright, now what we'll do just mowed the lawn, so I gotta mow. I gotta take a shower yet, but I thought before I take a shower, might as well do like a little quick video. So I've been sweating, so I'm wiping the sweat off my face. I guess you guys didn't need to know that, did you? Anyway, so let's turn it on now. I've got it to where it's back into its home position. Okay, so we got a tape here, and we're going to we'll put this in, and I won't tell you until a few minutes here. I won't tell you what's wrong with it. So I can't get it out now, right? So I have to I'll have to manually pull it out. Do you guys know what's wrong with it? I'll let you see here. You know what's wrong with it? What's going on, guys? Tell me what you think. I already know what it is, but you guys can tell me what you think. I'm gonna get the cassette out, and then I'll come back, and I'll tell you what's wrong with it. Okay, I'll tell you what's wrong with it. We've got a gear that is completely stripped. You'll notice that when the tape went in, and the switch has detected that it's ready to thread it around the drum, it can't, because there's a gear in here that is completely stripped out. So the gear is just free spinning, so it can't load. Now, why do I think that's the problem? Let me show you. You're not supposed to be able to move these. Look. Look, I can move it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that, guys. You're not supposed to be able to do that with your hands. Look at that. So, that is why I know, because that's free spinning. Now, what I'm hoping is, I hope that that metal gear down there is not stripped. It probably isn't, but if that metal gear down there is stripped, it's gonna take me a good 2-3 hours to replace it. So I hope that the only thing wrong is there's a plastic gear that is stripped, and that is what I think is happening. I'm about 90% sure that's what's happening, because you're not supposed to be able to freely move the tape guides. Now, when I first opened it, I was turning the worm gear, and it wasn't doing anything. So I knew right then and there that there was a gear that was stripped out somewhere. So we're going to pull the top off of it, and then I'll show you what's going on. So I'm going to take the screws out, we're going to pull this mechanism off, and we're going to do some inspection. We're going to look at the gears, we're going to look at the metal gear. I'm going to look at the metal gear because I want to make sure the metal gear is okay. It probably is. The metal gear is what turns and threads the tape. So this mechanism here turns the metal gear down there on the bottom. So this could be an easy fix. It could be a pain in the ass. I'm betting it's going to be a pain in the butt. But we'll see. Let's get that top off. Okay, so I've got the mechanism out here. This is the mode switch right here. Now this is a sealed switch, so you really have no way to clean it. The only way you could do to clean it is to get your contact cleaner, put a little, make sure it has the straw on it, and you can try to squirt a little bit of cleaner inside. So if you go right where the two seams are, push the button, and it should allow some cleaner in there, and it'll clean itself once the machine is operating. So if you want to know how to clean that mode switch, that's the only way, because it's a sealed switch. And this mode switch probably doesn't get dirty much because of the fact that it is a sealed switch. And Sony probably sealed that switch because they figured that they knew mode switches do get dirty. So that might have been why they did the completely sealed switch. I'm not sure. But I'm just looking at the gears down here. I'm not seeing any cracks. I'm looking to see if there's any cracks going on. I don't see any cracks. So this thing is gonna be something. It's gonna be a little bit of a mystery. So we have to find out if the gear is messed up. I think the gear, maybe if we change that gear, because maybe it's a gear that I don't see any cracks. So I'm just thinking that maybe the problem is maybe further inside. Yeah, this is just, I don't see any cracks. So I'm not sure what to do, because I don't see any cracks. Maybe it's just inside of the clutch mechanism here. These gears, there's gears inside of here as well. There's ones that you can't even see because they're up inside there. So what I could do is try and replace this this assembly here. If we replace this, that probably will correct the issue. Because I'm investigating the gears here, the gear over here. There's also a gear down here, this cam gear down at the very bottom here. I don't see that as a problem either. But that could be because, yeah, that could be the gear down there that could be toast. Where's my screwdriver? There it is. So let's just investigate this cam here. I want to turn that cam gear here and see if maybe, because I think it's going to be, I think the problem is going to be right there, that gear right there. Because the other gears are okay. I don't think that they're, yeah, there's no, well, there might be a gear inside of here. But due to the fact that I can turn the worm gear here. If you turn this black worm gear, you can see that this is turning. These gears are turning. So I don't think it's going to be in the clutch mechanism here. I think the issue is going to be underneath this mode switch here. So we'll just take the mode switch off, and we'll just pull it off like that. So let's just turn the gear and see if there's any cracks. I don't see any cracks though. I don't see any breakage or anything. So let's turn it back. Let's just put it back on and see what happens. Because what might have happened is it might have been somebody had taken it off and didn't put it down in there all the way. Because if you don't got this assembly down, all this clutch assembly right here, if you don't have this down all the way and you don't have the alignment correct, it can spin. It could just free spin like it was doing. So let's just put this back on and see if we can get that going. So with the mode switch, what you can do is, so you can take it and put your straw in between that black piece and the chipboard here on the back, and that will allow you to get some cleaner in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put that mode switch back on. We'll put this gear assembly back on here. What I want to do is see and see if I can determine what the cause is here. Let's get this back in there. So I'm going to get that back in. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I got it in there, you know, and it's not doing anything. It's still doing the same thing. So what I'm thinking is that it could be, sometimes you can't see the crack, you know. So a lot of times probably the best thing that I could do is maybe just change out this motor clutch assembly and replace it and see what happens. But I don't think it's this. I think it's going to be one of the gears down here on the bottom that maybe I'm not seeing is cracked or something. So I'm going to work on it for a little while, and I'm going to see if I can get this thing up and going. If I was to film my diagnosing it or messing with it, trying to find out what's wrong, it can take a couple hours, to be honest with you. So you would be so bored that you would turn the video off immediately. So I'm just going to find out what the issue is, and I'm going to then I will cut back in with the camera, tell you what the issue was, and then we'll repair it on camera. So I've got everything back together. What it was the cam gear, that little white cam gear on the very bottom. I couldn't physically see the crack. But when I pulled the gear out and I looked real close, I could see that it was cracked. So it took me about 2 hours to get that out and put that back in. It's very, very labor intensive, and to film me doing that would have been at least a couple hours, because it took me about 2 hours. So let's just see if we made any kind of difference, any kind of change. Let's put the cassette in and we'll see what happens. Okay, we got it threaded. It actually threads now. But something's not right. Our speed is too slow. Oh. Okay. Wow. Yeah, our speed is really slow. So the one of the big cam gear on the bottom that I was showing you that might have had a crack in it, but I couldn't see the crack. It was cracked pretty bad, and so it took me about 2 hours. But I finally got the new gear in there. I've got the assembly back together. Let's just see if I made any kind of difference, because spending that much time on it, if this one doesn't work after doing that, the only other thing I could think of is maybe a problem in this motor clutch mechanism. That could be the only thing left, because the metal gear was fine. So let's just see what happens. Let's put it in and we'll see. Okay, what's going on? Shoot. Okay. I'm gonna take a look. You know what? I just happened to think of something. Maybe that capstan's failed. But I know that that gear had a crack in it. So the only thing I can think of is this has got something wrong with it, or the capstan's got something wrong, because the capstan on this one actually drives the take-up and supply reels, but on this particular model it also helps with the threading, because this is the 360, the SL-HF360, and the SL-330 and the 390 have these issues too. So let me do some digging, some checking, and we'll see what happens. So we'll see what's going on with this thing. Because this is frustrating the hell out of me, because I've spent 2 hours now replacing that freaking gear, and it's still not working. So let me do some checking. Okay, so what I've done, I pulled the capacitors off of the Capstan motor, because I did a testing on them, and 2 are bad. So 2 of these were bad. This one, the one of them was okay. The one that was okay was this one over here, but these 2 were bad. So I'm gonna change the capacitors. I'm just waiting for my iron to heat up. But we're gonna change the surface mounted electrolytics. So what I've done was take a pair of pliers and twisted them until they twist off. Now when you're going to put a new capacitor on, you need to make a base. And what I mean by that is put a little bit of solder on the dots, on those leads. Those leads, add a little bit of solder to them, and then you can make your capacitors stick to them. So these are 16 volt at 47 microfarad capacitors, and I do have a few of those left, so I'm going to replace them. So there's 2 of them. These 2 over here, these 2 were bad. This one was okay, but I thought, I'm going to be in there anyway, I might as well change them. Now on the SL-S600 model, it only has 1 capacitor. But this one on the 330, the 360, the 390, and the 300, they all use this type of this motor. It's the same motor, but this one has 3 caps instead of 1, and the circuitry is a little bit different. So you can't take this one and put it into an SL-S600 because it's different. The way that it works is different. It looks the same. The plug even will plug into it, but it's not the same. So, if you've got a 360 and you're wanting to take the Capstan motor out of this, put it into an SL-HF360, probably not going to work because the difference. They're definitely different. Because, like I said, the 600 has 1, this particular model has 3. So, we're going to change all 3 electrolytics. And then we're going to test it and see if we can get this stupid thing to load a tape. I was just really starting to think. I put my thinking cap on, and I thought, you know what? The 711 B3 chassis has issues with the Capstan. So, maybe it's the Capstan. So I went ahead and pulled those off. So we're going to change them. I think my iron's nice and hot. I need to get my capacitors. So let's get my caps. Let's change those caps. I'm going to change those caps because that should be... I'm hoping that might be the issue. I don't really know, so... Alright, I need 3 of these. I just bought more of these because I ran out. Okay. What else am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna cut the leads short because I don't want them sticking straight out like that. I want to have them so they're kind of low profile. So we'll put these 3 capacitors in, and then we'll see if it'll even load. So I'm going to put the camera at an angle where hopefully you guys can see it somewhat. Oops. There we go. I think you guys can see that. That's the best I can do as far as giving you a view of what I'm doing. So, I gotta get my... The good thing is when they're surface mounted ones, you can just twist them off with a pair of pliers, and you don't have to use the solder sucker because there's no need to. So we'll get my solder here. I'm just gonna... I think my iron is hot enough now. Yeah, it is. So, alright, let's add a little filler to this. Alright. Oh, that stinks. Oh, that stinks. That stinks. Stinks. That stinks as bad as that piece of shit Donald Trump. Okay. Let's get the... Okay, now we're gonna take the caps and we'll put them in. Now on these, the negative side is gonna be the where the straight line is, and I'll show you what I mean. But they've got them so that you can tell what the negative is and what the positive is, and I'll show you a close-up of that here in just a minute or two because I want to get I gotta clip these leads off short so that they're not. Okay, so we'll just get my little things here. There we go. So, I've got my leads to where I want them. So we're just going to melt the okay. There's one. That's there. So we'll do another one here. Okay. So once we get these in, I'm hoping this will work, because I've spent so much freaking time on this today. I got this machine in recently and I wanted to do it. So, alright, now I'm going to do, so the negative is on that side. Put the leads where I want them. Just close them a little bit. It's kind of hard to see sometimes, so I have to. Okay. So let's get this tacked. Okay, I'm just making sure that I've got it good. Okay, there's two. Okay, we got one more cap to, and I'll show you how I change them. Because with the surface-mounted electrolytics, you cannot get to the other side, so it has to be done this way. This is the only way to do it, because you can't get on the other side, because it's got a metal plate on the other side. Surface mounted electrolytics, you never were able to get to the other side. So that's the difference. So the negative is over here. I'm just making sure that I've got my negatives in the right areas, because if you get them backwards, they'll blow up. Literally, if you put a cap in backwards, it will blow up. So keep that in mind, because that will happen if you get them in backwards. So I'm going to add just a little more solder to that one. Alright, that should do it, guys. So let's power this on and we'll see if it's going to work. I think it will now. So let's go ahead and we'll change it out. So we've got those changed. I'm just going to make sure I've got good connectivity, I've got good connections, and make sure they're not going to go anywhere. I'm going to apply just a tad, just a little bit more of solder to this one lead here. So let's just get this one a little bit more solder here. I'm going to add a little more here. Whoops. I accidentally I should have, yeah, anyway, I just melted. The leads just fell off of the solder here. So let's just resolder them in here. There we go. Just add this to us. Okay. There we go. We're good to go. I can unplug my solder iron. Let's go ahead and fire it up and see if it works. If it works, I will be happy. If not, I will be very pissed off and depressed at the same time. Oh yeah, did I plug that thing back in? Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, I was going to show you guys something real quick. I was going to tell you, how do you tell your negative? As you can see, there's like a drawing diagram, and you can see an outline of white. There's like a white outline. And so if you see that white outline, so the negative is where the straight line is, and on the diagram on this side, it's different, shaped different. So that's how you can tell your positive and your negatives, and you can see how I've you know, basically soldered them. So that should be fine now, because they're all nice and soldered. I just gotta make sure my solder is not touching the other solder, but let's plug it in and see if it works. So let's just see if we can get this working. I don't want to put the bottom on quite yet. I don't have the screws on the faceplate yet either, because so we're gonna see if this works. If it does, I'm gonna do a cleaning on the tape path, and then that'll be good. So I'm waiting on the voltage regulator for the SL-2300. Let's see what happens. What the heck? That tape got on the back side. See that? The tape's on the back side. I gotta fix that. Well, I'm happy that the machine now loads, but the tape got on the back side. That's why it didn't load correctly. So we got a mangled tape, but that's alright. So that does happen. I know people say, oh, that never happens. Yeah, it does. Okay, do we have play? Yes! We have play. We have play. Alright, do we have tracking? Yes, we do. I guess I shouldn't show much of that. but it is working. Forward search, backward search. It works. So we'll put all the things back together. I'm going to put everything back together. I'm going to do a few more things before we... Let's go with rewind. See how nice and strong the rewind is? Fast forward is not very fast, but see how strong that rewind is? I mean, that's really, really good. Wow, that's awesome. So it is working. It's working. Wow. The 2 hours I spent in labor paid off. Right? It was that freaking cam gear that was broken. It was completely broken. So, and we had a problem with the Capstan because it wasn't loading. I didn't even think, I mean, I was thinking, man, this may not even work. I might just be wasting my time. Nope, it wasn't a waste of time. It was fantastic. So, with the, I can now put the bottom piece on. So I'm going to put the bottom piece on. The tracking is not as good as I want it to be. But that could be just the tape, because I had to put the tracking all the way to the right to get rid of any video noise. So I do want to take a look at the tracking. So there's this has there's a circuit board that controls the tracking. So I'm gonna see where that might be, but it might just be the tape. But I'm gonna do a few things. I'm gonna go eat my dinner. After I eat, well, I'm gonna shower, eat my dinner, and when I come back, it'll be a little later. But I'll clean the heads, put the machine back together, and then we'll end the video. But at least I'm very, very happy now that we have a nice working Sony SL-HF360, and the cover is in good condition. That's the cover over there. It's in fantastic shape. Now, I do have the remote and the owner's manual for this machine. So this is going to be a fully refurbished, fully restored Betamax VCR. Here's something else I'm thinking I might do is I might go ahead and check the little capacitors in the power supply, because the big ones are always okay, but sometimes the little ones can not work to its fullest. Like the caps, there's one or two that goes bad, or they don't work as good as they used to, because capacitors sometimes they can work 100%, or they can work 80%, or they don't work at all. So I might just change I think I will do that. I'm gonna change the small capacitors in the power supply. And then that way that this thing will be working beautifully. So I'm going to do a few more things to it. I'm going to do a tape path cleaning and everything. I might need to do, I don't know, that tracking issue. I might need to do a little bit of an alignment. I'm not sure. But I think I'm pretty happy with this thing. So, very, very happy with it. So, I will be back shortly. And everything will be, you know, I think what we'll do is later tonight, we'll pull the power supply out. Let's go ahead and change those smaller capacitors. And we'll put the power supply back in. We'll do the cleaning on the heads. We'll put a little bit of grease on the gear here. This is the worm gear. Now, one thing you'll notice. Now, you guys noticed that I changed this. Because I changed this. How do you tell? Well, as you can see, this worm gear is white. The other one was black. So I swapped out the motors and then I thought, well, maybe it's the cam. So when I pulled the cam gear out, because remember I was talking that I was gonna change it. I think I'm just gonna change this, and I did do that. So, and it didn't do any good. So then I pulled the cam gear out, put a new cam gear in. Then it wasn't loading at all. So then we did the capacitors on the Capstan motor. And now it works. So a lot of work went into this thing to get it going. And I'm trying not to make the videos too long. But this video is probably going to be maybe an hour long. I would think an hour. Maybe a little longer, like an hour and 20 minutes. But pretty happy with it so far. So very pleased with this machine. So anyway, see you in a little bit. That'll end part 1. This is ending on part 1. Part 2 will be started later tonight. Hey guys, this is the Betamax man again. I put some grease on the loading mechanism here. That worm gear, I put a little grease, fresh grease there. Put a little fresh grease on this worm gear as well. I put some grease down in the other areas that the cassette basket will need to be lubricated. So this has all been lubricated. Everything is good. New grease, just took off the old grease, put new on. Because that green grease, you can't get 100% all of it off, because it's just not possible to get 100%, but I got most of it off, and it's good enough to where this machine will stay lubricated. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to replace some of the capacitors in the power supply. I'm thinking that I'm also going to replace some capacitors in the head amplifier, because the picture quality is not at the standard that it should be, as far as beta wise. The quality is not that good, and the tracking is off, so I gotta what I have to do is figure out why the tracking is poor. But when we recap the head amp, the picture quality should improve. So we'll figure out the tracking problem as well, but right now I'll show you. So the quality is poor. See, it's supposed to be in the middle. If you put it in the middle, it doesn't have anything. So I have to turn it to one side. But as you can see, the quality, you can see a little bit of the let me see if I can show you. It's kind of fuzzy in that one area. So this is a classic symptom. This is a classic case of the amplifiers not working 100%. You know, so the head amp sends the signal to the TV. So I usually do like to recap them just because that will kind of restore the quality. Let's see if I can show you what's going on. Do you see all that in the picture? Now you can make it, I can do it as best as I can. That's as best as I can make it, and we've still got, ooh, nice. We still got, you know, like fuzziness in the picture. Basically, I'm not happy with that. So we're gonna see what we can do. So we'll put this back into the center position, because I'm gonna go ahead and what I want to do is I'm gonna pull that power supply out. We'll change some caps. Then I'll change some caps in the head amplifier, and then we'll see what kind of progress we've made. Because, man, I've spent a lot of time on this. I mean, I replaced the cracked cam gear. I've replaced this whole motor gear assembly here, and you know, this has been replaced. The cam gear's been replaced. Capacitors on the Capstan have been replaced, and it's now to where it's playing, it's working. But the picture quality is not what it should be. Yeah, the picture quality is terrible. So we need to repair that, and that's one of the things that we can do is recap the head amp, and that should actually help. So what I'm gonna do is I gotta take the this metal shielding. I think it'll just pop right off, but if I remember right, it just pops off. But I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna unplug it before I do that, but I'm just gonna do some replacement caps, and we'll see what progress we make. So I've recapped the head amplifier, and some of these were Elnas, and the Elnas were bad. There's an Elna there, but so it's working now. It's gonna have a little bit of noise in the picture because the shielding plate is not on. That plate actually protects it from electrical interference. So, oh, look at the picture here. And it looks pretty good. It's not bad. Yeah, not bad. But that little noise in the bottom of the picture is because the shielding is not on. So I'm going to put the shield on and put the front back together, put this piece back on, and yeah, there were some of them where the traces were damaged. So, had a hard time getting the solder on what was left of the trace. Some of the traces, I might need to, I thought I was going to have to reroute them, but I think it's okay. So, yeah, I think it's fine. So anyway, we'll put the shielding on, and then I want to go into the power supply and replace some of the capacitors in the power supply. Yeah, she's working pretty good now, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm just gonna I do gotta fix this capacitor here. What I did was I unsoldered this. I didn't realize, but this was a pancake capacitor. And I unsoldered it because I thought it was a regular capacitor. And found out, nope, that's a pancake one. So I put new solder on it, you know. But I gotta push the leads through, because I don't think the leads are all the way through. Because check this out, when I press on that, watch this. See? So I gotta fix that. I'll fix that, and then we'll tackle the power supply. So what I've done, as you can see, I've done a repair on that trace was damaged, so I needed to bypass it. As you can see, I bypassed it. I'm gonna cut that lead off here because that lead needs to come off, but I'll show you that the picture's better. It's a lot better than it was, and sometimes that happens where you'll have damaged traces, and what causes it is usually it's because capacitors, they start to leak and they eat the trace off of the board. And sometimes when you go to pull them out, it rips almost the whole trace off. So let's just see what it does now. It should be better. We should notice a difference, so. Oh yeah, major difference. You see how it's no longer got the noise in the picture. I thought it was on account of the what was I saying? Oh yeah, I thought it was on account of the shielding plate not being on it, but it was because of the damaged traces. Also, one capacitor I didn't replace. I thought I replaced them all, but there was one that was actually that I missed, and I was looking at it, and I was like, wait a minute, is that the Elna? So yeah, it was an Elna. It was a shitty Elna capacitor. So those Elna caps, they go to shit. So, anyway, maybe now I can tackle the power supply, and we'll be done with this machine, and we'll get it all buttoned up. And I'm gonna do some cleaning too, because there's a lot of dust where the power supply is. There's some dust on the circuit board, so I'll just take some cleaner and kind of clean it up a little bit inside as well. But I'm ready to put the front back on. I don't need to do anything else, so it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Picture is normal, so we have no more noise bars in the picture. Those little the gray specks that were drifting through the picture, that was caused by failure. Well, there was traces damaged, but there was also a dry joint and a couple of these resistors as well. But we'll see how that other tape looks now. Yeah, let's just see how that other tape looks now. Oh yeah, it's much better. Well, that's caused by the tape. It's kind of old. So this tape's pretty old. But yeah, so some of it actually was the tape. Because if we put in another factory recorded tape, this is a factory recorded one. If we put that one in, and you know, it's working. So it's just, and even playing this tape on my SL-HF1000 still has the same issue. So, you know, it's just the tape is worn out. You know, these tapes are never meant to, you know, last 30, 40 years. They never intended them to last that long. Never intended that to last. I mean, who knew that videotapes would last, you know, 40, 50 years? You know, it just amazes me how, you know, how well beta tapes hold up. I mean, look at that. That's a great picture. You know, it's amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and button up the, put the shielding back on, and take the power supply out, do a little cleaning, replace some of the smaller capacitors, and we'll put it back together. And this thing should be in good condition. So I was just checking some of the capacitors and power supply. There's one capacitor that's bad. The other ones are fine, but due to the fact that they're smaller capacitors, I'm going to change them. Now, when you go to take the power supply out of this machine, you will have to break the seal, because there's thermal grease. That white stuff, that's thermal grease. Because this regulator has to have thermal grease on it. So if you pull the power supply, you have to make sure that you clean the old stuff off of it and apply fresh new grease. So I'm going to apply fresh new thermal grease. And I do need to order some. So, but we're going to change these out and put the power supply back in and button it up. Well, we're going to do a little cleaning too, because you can see how much dirt and dust is in there. There's a lot of dirt and dust on the circuit board here too, so we just do a little cleaning and getting this thing all up and getting it in real good condition. One thing I wanted to do is, you'll also notice that I changed the ticket and supply reel assembly. So I'm going to put my blue ones back in because I like the blue ones better anyway, and the blue reels, which was in this originally. But, you know, I was having trouble with loading, and I was just trying anything and everything that might work. And so, but I'm going to put the original one back in. You know, and I like the blue reels. I mean, I know I'm crazy for putting the original one back in, but, call me crazy, right? So I'm going to put those back in. And this will be done because I've already recapped the power supply. So I've got that back in. And we'll put the original tape and supply reel assembly in. And this thing should be done. And we'll put the top on it. And we'll put it up for sale. Okay, got my original blue reels back. And like I said, I was doing different methods to get this thing working, because I wasn't quite sure, and sometimes I would just take parts and put in it just to see if I can get any kind of response. So this thing's been an all day, basically half of the day spent repairing this thing. So, but this thing has its manual. It has its original remote, so it has its original RCA cable, or not the RCA, but the RF cable. So let's go ahead and let's see, Super Beta on. Put the levels where I need them to be. Let's see, let's do. That's tuner. That's the line input, so we'll put it on that one. And there we go. Alright, let's just pop it in and verify that everything is working here. Everything's working. So, this tape was what was in here when I opened it up. And this looks like some stupid movie a movie I would never even watch. I think those are girls, but they look like guys dressed up as women, so weird movie. It's called Cabaret or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, this is the tape that was in it when it was stuck in it, so just using it because it's good for using it for testing purposes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and officially declare that this machine is ready to be sold. I did some cleaning and got the original reels in. I changed all of those capacitors in the power supply. The only one I didn't change was this one, this big one, because these big ones, they never go out. I've never had a big capacitor fail, especially one of this big. This is a 25 volt at 10,000 microfarad. So these ones usually, they never go bad, and this one tested good. Actually, it tested really good, so I didn't touch that one, but the other ones, yeah, I replaced. Also, I had to put some new thermal grease for the voltage regulator IC because it mounts to the surface here. So And the diode is fine. I checked it. It was okay. The diode has probably higher. I think this machine has had some hours on it, and you can tell by the look at the diode how there's discoloration. But it's because it's just heat, you know, so it deteriorates. It basically it makes the color of the diode kind of loses its color, but when, you know, because of heat and everything. And this thing is not a real high hours machine, but you know, it doesn't. I don't think this has too many hours on it, to be honest, because the display is pretty nice. It's not the brightest display, but it does pretty good. So tracking is fine. The level for the audio is in the middle like I want it. Yeah, here, this is the record level volume. This adjusts the input, the volume coming into the machine. But anyway, so let's put the top on and consider this done. There she is, all put back together, ready for its new owner. It'll have a new owner, and I think this thing is worth at least $300 because it plays back the Beta 1S. So because it's able to play back Beta 1S, this is one of the most desirable ones for playing back. You know, if you've got tapes that have been recorded in either the Beta 1S 5.6 megahertz or the 6.0 megahertz, it will play those back. It plays back both Beta 1S and Beta 1 high band, super high band. So it'll play back both of those speeds. Not to mention others, the other two. You know, so it'll play back Beta 1, and Beta 1S, Beta 2, Beta 3, and it also plays the Super Beta for, so it already plays the Beta 1 Super, and then Beta 2 Super, and Beta 3 Super. So, Super Beta. So, we'll just clear the counter. Let's go ahead and put it in. Works great. We got fast forward. We've got rewind. So we've got really good quality picture. Pause is not the greatest because this is a 2-head. So the pause is terrible. But the fact it can play back Beta 1 tapes, Beta 1S tapes, is one of the reasons why this machine is desirable. It's also got the color switches. That's why it looks so dang bright. That's normal. That's what it's supposed to look like. But it has these effects where it adds contrast. It actually adds it adds contrast because there's tapes that have been dubbed. You know, if you're dubbing a tape, it's sometimes nice to put the color 2 or 3 selector, but 1 is what I would like to have it on, but I think 2 is definitely fine. That's 3, that's 2, and that's 1. So some people like it on 2. I like it on 1 because that's the original. So, I think that this is great. It's working, so we have rewind. We have fast forward, and you know, with the new capacitors on the Capstan motor, this Capstan motor is gonna go really nice and strong. Tracking is a little off, but that could be the tape, because sometimes some of the tapes, they're not they don't have perfect tracking. I mean, when they made these tapes, you know, they were using different machines, you know, and it wasn't necessarily the same brand, you know. So might have been a Sony, it might have been a, I mean, it's just with the industrial machines, some of them where the tracking is perfect on some of these pre-recorded movies, and then others are where the tracking is off just a hair. But as you can see, we have good rewind. You know, we have backwards, we have forwards, so I like it on color 1, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So, VTR button, clock, you know, you can go to the clock, or you can go to the counter. And the meters are fine. The volume meters, I got the sharpness in the center. The tracking's all the way to the one side because it has noise bars in the picture if you put it perfectly in the center. Now with other tapes that, you know, I think maybe this is in the middle now, and you can see there's just barely anything on the bottom. But you turn it a little bit and then it's, you know, really good. So anyway, this thing is fixed, it's ready to go, it's gonna go to its new owner. I do have the remote, so we might as well test out the remote. So we'll test the remote out here. We'll get the remote here, and I'll put some fresh batteries in it, and we'll test and see if the remote works. Battery died. So let's put it on counter. Let's hit play because the remote works. There's rewind. And there's forward. Remote works. Machine works beautifully. I would say that I'm a happy camper. I'm happy with this performance. And she's ready to go. She's gonna go to a new home. So she'll be, whoever gets this will be pleased with this machine. So this is really a good machine, you know. This is a nice machine. You know, this is one of the ones that people want, you know. It's a kind of a cheaper, stripped down model, But with the ability to play back, you know, Beta 1S is one of the reasons why people want these. And it even tells you on the manual that it plays back Beta 1S. So, and it'll do both the 5.6 and the 6.0. It'll do both. So, I was wondering, you know, why the contrast is so much. And then I remembered this model has a color button. And I put it on number 1 because that's what I like. But some people put it on 2 or 3. It adds contrast because if you're wanting to copy a tape, you'd want to increase the contrast a little bit so that when you make your recording, it's going to be nice, almost as good. It's going to look almost as good as the original. So that's it, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I know this has been a long video, but I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you enjoy watching me get this thing up and running.